Well, good evening, everybody. How are you doing today? I wasn't exactly planning on doing any videos today because, I'm under the weather. I feel pretty crummy. But I wanted to get this particular article out there today because I think it's kind of important for everybody to know. And I would like to start attracting the attention of our children, specifically the students. And so I'm going to be doing in the future a lot of videos that I hope you, my subscribers, whom I love very much and care for, will understand the fact that it's our youth, our students, who need this information. Because anybody now, I'm 50 plus years old, my generation and the older generations, we're the lost generations. Okay? We're finding the truths. But we're not going to live long enough for it to matter. So I would like to start targeting my videos to the children, to the students. And in this video, we're going to talk a bit about the first 8 presidents before George Washington. Okay? I wasn't taught, again, I'm 50 plus years old, and I'm sure anybody my age and older, and maybe in the 40s generation, and I'm certain in the way younger generations, in their history guideline books, that most people, especially the students, are not being taught that there were 8 presidents before George Washington. George Washington was the 9th president of the United States. And this article comes from the Constitution Society. I'm sorry for the ads. I can't stand them. Alright. Who was the first president of the United States? I'm sure that George Washington was your best guess. Come on, all of you guys out there. Because that's what you were told in school, right? Just because you're indoctrinated makes everything truthful. So everybody believes that George Washington is the best guess of who the first president of the United States was. Beep! Wrong! But think back to your history books. The United States declared its independence in 1776. Remember that. Yet Washington did not take office until April 30th, 1789. I think that's 13 years. So, who was running the country during these initial years of this young country? Well, it was the first 8 presidents. In fact, the first president of the United States was John Hanson. I can hear you now. Yeah, I can too. You're all saying, John who? John Hanson, the first president of the United States. Don't go checking the encyclopedia for this guy's name. He's one of those great men that are lost in history. And if you're extremely lucky, you may actually find a brief mention of his name. It's in the Encyclopedia Britannica. The new country was actually formed on March 1st, 1781, not 1776. All right? Our country was not formed and founded in 1776. It was March 1st, 1781, with the adoption of the Articles of Confederation. This document was actually proposed on June 11, 1776, but not agreed upon by Congress until November 15, 1777. Maryland refused to sign this document until Virginia and New York ceded their western lands. Maryland was afraid that these states would gain too much power in the new government from such large amounts of land. Okay, once the signing took place, 1781, a president was needed to run the country. John Hanson was chosen unanimously by Congress, which included George Washington. In fact, all the other potential candidates refused to run against him, as he was a major player in the Revolution and an extremely influential member of Congress. As the first president, Hanson had quite the shoes to fill. No one had ever been president, and the role was poorly defined. His actions in office would set precedents for all future presidents. Did you catch that? President Hanson set the precedent for all future presidents. Well, this is the future from then. That includes Trump, Obama, Bush, all them. So, apparently, I'm going to have to do a little investigation on Hanson. Doesn't seem like quite the nice guy, but I don't know. This is new information to me, too. Wait, there's more. He took office just as the Revolutionary War ended. Almost immediately, the troops demanded to be paid. As would be expected after any long war, there were no funds to meet the salaries. And as a result, the soldiers threatened to overthrow the new government. Good for them. Good for them. How dare, in our history, do they not pay our troops? Wow. So bullshit's been going on since the beginning of time in the United States, right down to the pilgrims, or whatever they're called, who came over here and slaughtered all the Indians. Ugh. Alright. So as a result, the soldiers threatened to overthrow the new government. Where are these soldiers now? Okay? We need these soldiers now in 2017. So, the soldiers threatened to overthrow the new government and put Washington on the throne as a monarch. All the members of Congress ran for their lives, leaving Hanson as the only guy left running the government. He somehow managed to calm the troops down and hold the country together. If he had failed, the government would have fallen almost immediately. Oh, like it's falling now in 2017? And everyone would have been bound to King Washington. I'm sorry. The world in which I live in does not have kings, queens, princesses, and princes. Okay? That's egotistical. We have a creator. Some of you call him God. Some of us call them the god and goddess. So, again, King Washington, boy, these guys deified themselves as kings and queens of you and me. Wait, there's more interesting stuff to come. Hanson, as president, ordered all future troops off American soil. Well, that seems okay. As well as the removal of all foreign flags. And this was quite the feat, considering the fact that so many European countries had a stake in the United States since the days following Columbus. Yeah, I guess that's the Revolutionary War. Actually, to be accurate, that would be the War of Setauket. Google it. During the Revolutionary War, there was another war going on. And this is what he's talking about. And it was a failed war, but it was involved. Europeans were involved, the French were involved, and I'm not sure the purpose of that war. All right, this is like, hundreds of years before my time. But I do know about the War of Setauket in New York, and it was failed. And that was a secondary war within the Revolutionary War. And that war, the War of Setauket, New York, well, the French and the Europeans lost, and George Washington had won. So anyways, there's a little more history. President Hanson established the Great Seal of the United States, which all presidents to this day, to President Trump, now, have since been required to use on all official documents. President Hanson also established the first Treasury Department, the first Secretary of War, and the first Foreign Affairs Department. Catch this one, ladies and gentlemen, and students. Lastly, President Hansen declared that the fourth Thursday of every November was to be Thanksgiving Day, which is still true today. So now we know the history of Thanksgiving. I don't know. Thankful for what? Thankful that Hansen established the Great Seal of the United States? Wow. Wow. Well, that's a narcissist. The Articles of Confederation only allowed a president to serve a one-year term during any 3-year period. So Hansen actually accomplished quite a bit of bad in such little time. Now here's the other 7 presidents that were elected after him. Okay? Elias Boudinot was the 2nd president of the United States from 1782 to 83. Thomas Mifflin was the 3rd president of the United States, 1783 to 1784. Richard Henry Lee, 5th president of the United States, 1784 to 1785. Now, let's take a looky here who the 6th president of the United States was. One of the major signatures on the Constitution, on, the Declaration of Independence, the Constitution, you know what I'm talking about. The documents that we all can wipe our ass with now. That's what he signed. Well, he was the 6th president of the United States from 1785 to 86. I don't know about you, but when I was in school, I knew of John Hancock and his signature, I guess, on the Constitution. Okay? Excuse me for not remembering exactly which useless document. Okay? Constitution of Independence. Whatever means nothing now. That's what he signed. But for him to be the 6th president of the United States, that was not taught in school. That was not taught. So after him, okay, he was the 6th. No, he was the 5th. 6th, 7th. No, he was the 5th. The 6th president, Nathan Gorman, from 1786 to 1787. And then the 5th, 6th, 7th. I'm sorry, the other 7. Hansen was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. John Hancock 6. Northam Gorman 7 president. 8th president Arthur St. Clair, 1787 to 1788. And Cyrus Griffin, 1789, 88 to 89. All prior to Washington taking office. See this? My highlighter's not working. All prior to Washington taking office. Everybody is taught that George Washington is the United States' first president. Not true bullshit. It's not the education system, it's the indoctrination system. This is what our children are being indoctrinated into. And I'd like to help them. I see children on YouTube who are incredibly awake to this, and that makes my heart feel so good. Makes my heart feel that not all of our current students are going to grow up to be fuck-ups. Okay, I don't use the F word too much, and I'm not going to apologize for it. Okay, we're adults here. Even the children are adults. I don't expect the 4-year-old's going to be watching this video. Alright? So, let's get fucking real here. So what happened? Why don't we hear about the first 8 presidents? It's quite simple. The Articles of Confederation didn't work well. It just didn't work well. The individual states had too much power and nothing could be agreed upon. A new doctrine needed to be rewritten. Something we know as the Constitution. Okay, so they didn't like the Articles of Confederation. It didn't work well. So they rewrote it. Yeah. They rewrote history because something didn't work well. That's ludicrous bullshit. It did work well. And there will be a connection. Okay? It says right up here that the Articles of Confederations only allowed a president to serve a 1-year term during any 3-year period. So, who was the Einstein to make it a 4-year term and most likely an 8-year term? Gee, I'll give you one guess. I'll give you 9 guesses. And the 9th guess is the correct one. George Washington. That's what happened. George Washington was one of the elites, so to speak. He was a 33-degree Mason, and he had an agenda. And that agenda is going on to this day. It's called depopulation. Kill off everybody and save everything for themselves. That's where this started. That's why the first 8 presidents got no acknowledgement in the history books. But George Washington did. Because he was the front runner of the 33-degree Masons. He was also part of, yes, that secret society, the deep state shadow government. Yep. So somewhere between, I believe, John Hancock here in 1785 to Washington taking office, I don't get a feeling about these people. But John Hancock is a very questionable person in my mind. All he did was put his signature on a piece of frickin' toilet paper. And Washington flushed the United States down the drain. That's what happened. Because it's quite simple. It didn't work well. Fuck you. The government now doesn't work well. So let's rewrite our government now. Because obviously they do it. Okay? This didn't work well for them. Well, I'm sorry. The government's not working well for us, the people. So, they need to be removed from history. And that leads us to the end of our story. George Washington was definitely not the first President of the United States. He was the first President of the United States under the Constitution we wipe our ass with today. And the first 8 presidents are forgotten in history. Thank you for watching. Have a great evening.